Have you ever looked at a job description, a promotion opportunity, or even your current role and thought, I should be further along than this? So why does this feel harder than it should? That feeling can be unsettling, but it does not mean you are falling behind forever. It usually means there is a gap between what the role demands and what you currently feel ready to do. And that gap is something you can identify, close, and use to your advantage if you approach it the right way. Hi, I am Michael Akbar with Yes Career Coaching. In this video, you will learn how to identify skill gaps in a practical, honest, and confidence-building way so you can stop guessing, stop spiraling, and start building a clear plan to move forward. And if you want to help figuring out exactly what is holding you back and what to do next, schedule a consultation with Yes Career Coaching. The link is below. We help professionals turn uncertainty into a focused strategy. Let's start with an important mindset shift. A skill gap is not a personal failure. It is not proof that you are obsolete. It is not a reason to count yourself out. A skill gap is simply the difference between what a role requires and what you can currently do with confidence. And in today's market, where technology is changing fast, AI is changing workflows, and expectations keep evolving, almost everyone has some kind of gap. Entry-level professionals have them. Mid-career professionals have them. Senior leaders have them. So the goal is not to pretend you have no gaps. The goal is to identify them early, clearly, and objectively. Because once a vague fear becomes a specific issue, it becomes manageable. It stops being a threat to your identity and starts becoming a problem you can solve. One of the best ways to do that is what I call a delta analysis. This is where you compare what a role requires against what you can currently do. You can do this with your current job, the next job you want, or even a stretch project that feels intimidating. Take the responsibilities or requirements line by line and rate yourself honestly. Where are you strong? Where are you somewhat capable but rusty? Where are you clearly behind? This sounds simple, but is powerful because it forces clarity. Instead of saying, I feel behind, you may realize the real issue is something very specific like data analytics, executive presence, stakeholder management, AI tools, or budgeting. And once you know that, the emotion around it often starts to drop. I have seen this with many professionals. Someone may feel broadly inadequate, but once we isolate the exact gap, the problem becomes far less overwhelming. It is no longer I am not good enough. It becomes, I need to strengthen this one area. That is a very different conversation. Another useful way to identify skill gaps is what I call the friction test. Ask yourself this: where do I consistently feel resistance? What tasks do I delay, avoid, or overthink? What parts of the job drain confidence or slow me down? That friction often points directly to a gap. And here is something important. Skill gaps are not always technical. Sometimes they are, but often they show up in soft skills that have a major impact on career growth. Things like communication, influence, conflict management, adaptability, executive presence, and decision-making under pressure. For example, someone might be technically excellent but struggle every time they need to lead a meeting, present to senior leadership, or navigate disagreements. They may think the issue is other people or bad team dynamics, but the real gap may be in leadership, communication, or social influence. Once that is identified, everything changes. Instead of feeling like work is just frustrating, they can see the pattern, address it directly, and start improving. Friction is data. Pay attention to it. It often tells you where your next area of growth is hiding. A third strategy is to use an external mirror. This means getting honest input from people who can see what you may not see yourself. That takes some courage, but it can be one of the fastest ways to grow. We all have blind spots. Sometimes the skill gap is obvious to others long before it becomes clear to us. You do not need to make this dramatic. You can ask a trusted colleague, mentor, manager, or even peer something simple like, where do you see me struggling to keep up? Or if I improved one skill that would make me more effective, what do you think that would be? If your organization offers performance reviews or 360 feedback, use them, not as a verdict on your worth, but as information. That is the key. Feedback is data. When you treat it that way, you stop personalizing it and you start using it. Now, once you identify a skill gap, the next question is what to do with it. And this is where people often go in the wrong direction. They either panic, deny it, or try to hide it. A much stronger approach is honesty plus a plan. This matters a lot, especially in interviews, promotion conversations, or performance discussions. Employers and decision makers do not expect perfection. What they respond well to is self-awareness, initiative, and momentum. So instead of trying to fake confidence around something you know is a weakness, speak to it clearly and show that you are already addressing it. You might say, I identified data analytics as an area I needed to strengthen. So I enrolled in a course and have already started applying it into my current work. Or I realized that executive communication was becoming more important at this level. So I've been deliberately working on that through coaching, more exposure, and targeted practice. That is a strong answer. It does not make you look weak. It makes you look mature, strategic, and growth-oriented. And that is exactly how strong professionals handle development. They do not wait for the gap to disappear on its own. They name it, they address it, and they keep moving. Let me also add this. Not every gap needs the same kind of response. Some gaps require formal learning. Others require practice, coaching, exposure, or feedback. Some require a certification. Others require putting yourself in situations that force growth. The point is not just to identify the gap, it is to choose the right response. And this is where many people benefit from support. Because when you are too close to your own situation, it can be hard to tell which gaps are urgent, which are manageable, and which are mostly confidence issues rather than true capability issues. That distinction matters. Sometimes what looks like a skill gap is partly a positioning problem. Sometimes it is a confidence problem. Sometimes it is a communication problem. And sometimes it really is a hard capability gap that needs a clear development plan. Knowing the difference can save you a lot of wasted time and energy. So if you have been feeling overwhelmed, or if you are not sure whether you are actually underqualified or just under positions, do not try to solve all of this in your head alone. A good career strategy often starts with a more objective diagnosis. So let's bring this together. If you want to know how to identify skill gaps, start by removing the shame from the process. Then compare your current skills against the role you have or want. Pay attention to friction. Ask for outside feedback. Treat what you learn as data, not as judgment. And once a gap becomes clear, do not hide it. Pair honesty with a concrete plan. That is how you turn self-doubt into traction. And if you want help identifying the real gaps that may be holding you back and building a focused plan to close them, that is exactly the kind of work we do at Yes Career Coaching. We help professionals audit where they are, clarify what is missing, and create a strategy to move towards stronger roles, promotions, and career growth with more confidence. If that would be useful for you, schedule a consultation through the link in the description. And if this video helped you subscribe to more practical guidance on career advancement, leadership growth, and getting unstuck professionally. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.